Page 8, Round the Village. On the previous page, they're talking about ledger lines. You've been using a ledger line all along because middle C is on a ledger line. In the treble clef, middle C is the first line, a ledger line below the staff. In the bass clef, middle C is a ledger line above the staff. That little line is a ledger line. You can have any number of them up or down, above or below the staves, because we're limited to the number of notes we can play. If it's limited to the staff in the treble clef, you can only go this high. Yeah, that's it. You can have any other notes. We've got a whole lot more notes than that. So we use ledger lines above or below to extend it out. Same thing with the bass clef. And that's what that's all about. In my opinion, it's just an opinion, you need to eventually memorize the notes on those ledger lines up to 3 ledger lines above or below the staff. You're going to use them quite a bit, especially 1 and 2 ledger lines. You'll get to know them, but because you can glance at them in music and your eyes can catch 3. You don't have to count them. I mean, when they start adding a bunch in there, you actually have to count out how many are there. You have to figure out what the note is. That's where you take a pencil and you put in the note name after you figure it out. I do that a lot on these notes. It helps if you can memorize at least 3 above or below. Now, in Round Village, we're talking about chromatic passages. A chromatic passage simply is when you're going up or down by half steps. I don't know if you've had half steps, can't remember. But you're using all the keys. White and black. So it's, the closest distance between any 2 notes is 2 keys. Those are half steps, and if we use that's a chromatic passage. You can go up or down, doesn't matter. And I don't teach chromatic scale because a chromatic passage can start or end anywhere. See, with a scale, if I say, go do my C major scale video, and I should have said that all along, you would start on a C and you'd end on a C. But with a chromatic scale, you can start anywhere on any key because you're using them all. So it has no real starting point. And the fingering is basically the same. You use in most cases, you're going to use a third, but we're going to follow their fingering in here. We're using second finger because we're crossing thumb under second finger here. That's what we're practicing. So at the beginning in the right hand, we're just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. You ought to go down too. It's good practice. You need to do it in the left hand too. Just start with an E. Good practice on that, and that's what this is about. Chromatic scale. Now, in this piece, it's in the key of F major. If you haven't been, you need to be doing my scale videos. In this case, do the scale on the key that the piece is in. In this case, it's F major. 1 flat, B flat, common time or 4/4 time. You see the C at the beginning. So, at the beginning in the right hand, 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and rest and 1. And that's the counting. Not too bad, I hope. In the left hand, you got half notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Oh, the left hand's busy, ain't it? Well, go down to the second line here. Now the left hand has your second ledger line up is an E, but that's got a flat in front of it, so it's going to be an E flat. And then the next one is a D. Third measure, it's right above the second line. Well, if an E is the second line and F is right above it, so that's an F. Then an E. Not an E flat this time, it's an E. And then they introduce treble clef in the left hand, so now you're up here for the third line. And skip the rest of that, go down to the last line, you're back in bass clef. The E flat. And then now the second finger on D flat, cross the thumb under to the C, B flat, and last one. And it's left hand. A little tricky spot in the left hand may cause you a problem. Let's talk about it. The last 2 measures. Here. It's the last 2 notes actually. going from a B flat to the here. You're pushing two notes down at once. Try and get them down at the same time. You have to listen very closely. The problem is you're coming off a note. That can be a problem for people because it's a little tricky. Now when I play multiple notes at the same time, I'm using weight, and I simply drop the hand or the wrist. I'm dropping the weight into the keys, and the weight is pushing the notes down. I'm just lowering the fingers I need for those notes, and I'm just dropping it here. I'm not trying to use fingers to drop it down. Well, with a single note, I can use fingers a little more, but I'm still using weight. But the point is, I'm transferring weight from the index finger to these other fingers for the last one. So here to here, I'm exaggerating this, but I'm transferring the weight from here over to here. And as I do that, I'm dropping the wrist down to play the notes. So it's a motion of here and here at the same time. It's weird, but it's... So practice that. It doesn't have to be a black note. You can use a white note. It's a motion you really need to get to know, though, because you're going to need it quite a bit in both hands. Again. Doesn't matter, just work on that. Just be aware that's there. If you absolutely have to, then you have to separate the notes. But I would prefer you be able to connect them. Now dynamic wise, they're starting out sort of medium loud, and that's the melody, that's the right hand. The left hand's just going to stay soft pretty much. So, and then you're going to crescendo all the way up to the A and stay there. Now third line, you're coming down as soft, but now you're going to crescendo up to the A again, but not as loud as you were. Second line, you see the CRESC, that's short for crescendo. That's the same thing as an arrow. So again, we're going to get a little louder. We're soft here. Louder. Go up to about a medium loud. And then third measure, you're starting medium loud and go up to a loud. Now you're loud. Third line, you're loud. Rest, and then the third measure, you come down to a medium loud. The last line, I suggest you start a little soft, come down to about a medium soft, so you got more room to get louder. And then the last two measures, you get soft. Watch the slurs. Soft, up and down on the slurs, and get softer. It's like multitasking, good grief. That's sort of the dynamics on this. The speed is con moto, which means with motion, which means you're going to move it. It's not really a speed, it's how you decide how fast it's with motion is sort of like rest, 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 etc. You get that. It's how fast you can comfortably play it correctly. No hesitations, no glitches, no wrong notes. Everything is where it is. And you start real slow, and then in time, as you're working on it, you can speed it up. I'd like to play it with you very slowly just to check the notes and the rhythms and so forth. Now I'm not going to do the dynamics. You do the dynamics. Let's just try it out. It's not repeated or nothing, so we'll just go through it one time. So the right hand's here, left hand's here. Okay. 1, 2, ready and go, and. Rest. 2, 3, rest. Rest. 1, 2, 3, rest. rest. Two, three, four, done.